The Game of Thrones prequel is going to be the Bael the Bard story. That's my guess. From beginning to end, Bael the Bard. So proceed with caution, but if you plan on watching my next video, familiarize yourself with this story. The rest of this video is going to be a straight narration of Ygrette's version of the story. Because just like Rhaegar and Lyanna, there are two versions. A lie about a kidnapping, and then there's a love story. The first song of Ice and Fire. Here it is. Who is your mother? Some woman. Most of them are. Someone had said that to him once. He did not remember who. She smiled again, a flash of white teeth. And she never sung you the song of the winter rose? I never knew my mother, or any such song. Bael the Bard made it, said Ygrette. He was king beyond the wall, a long time back. All the free folk know his songs, but might be you don't sing them in the south. Winterfell's not in the south, Jon objected. Yes it is. Everything below the wall is south to us. He had never thought of it that way. I suppose it's all in where you're standing. Aye, Ygrette agreed. It always is. Tell me, Jon urged her. It would be hours before Corn came up, and a story would help keep him awake. I want to hear this tale of yours. Might be you won't like it much. I'll hear it all the same. Brave black crow, she mocked. Well, long before he was king over the free folk, Bale was a great raider. Stone Snake gave a snort. A murderer, robber, and raper is what you mean. That's all in where you're standing too, Ygrette said. The Stark in Winterfell wanted Bale's head, but could never take him, and the taste of failure galled him. One day, in his bitterness, he called Bale a craven who preyed on only the weak. When word of that got back, Bale vowed to teach the Lord a lesson. So he scaled the wall, skipped down the King's Road, and walked into Winterfell one winter's night, with harp in hand, naming himself Sigurd of Skagos. Sigurd means deceiver in the old tongue that the first men spoke, and the giants still speak. North or south, singers always find a ready welcome, so Bale ate at the Lord Stark's own table, and played for the Lord in his high seat until half the night was gone. The old songs he played, and new ones he'd made himself, and he played and he sang so well that when he was done, the Lord offered to let him name his own reward. All I ask is a flower, Bale answered, the fairest flower that blooms in the gardens of Winterfell. Now as it happened, the winter roses had only then come into bloom, and no flower is so rare nor precious. So the Stark sent to his glass gardens and commanded that the most beautiful of the winter roses be plucked for the singer's payment, and so it was done. But when morning came, the singer had vanished, and so had Lord Brandon's maiden daughter. Her bed they found empty, but for the pale blue rose that Bale had left on the pillow where her head had lain. Jon had never heard this tale before. Which Brandon was this supposed to be? Brandon the Builder lived in the Age of Heroes, thousands of years before Bale. There was Brandon the Burner, and his father Brandon the Shipwright, but this was Brandon the Daughterless, Ygrette said sharply. Would you hear the tale or no? He scowled. Go on. Lord Brandon had no other children. At his behest, the black crows flew forth from their castles in the hundreds, but nowhere could they find any sign of Bale or his maid. For most a year they searched, till the Lord lost heart and took to his bed, and it seemed as though the line of the Starks was at its end. But one night, as he lay waiting to die, Lord Brandon heard a child's cry. He followed the sound and found his daughter back in her bedchamber, asleep, with the babe at her breast. Bale had brought her back? No. They had been in Winterfell all the time, hiding with the dead beneath the castle. The maid loved Bale so dearly she bore him a son, the songs say. Though if truth be told, all the maids loved Bale in them songs he wrote. Be that as it may, what's certain is that Bale left the child in payment for the rose he'd plucked unasked, and that the boy grew to be the next Lord Stark. So there it is. You have Bale's blood in you, same as me. It never happened, Jon said. She shrugged. Might be it did, might be it didn't. It is a good song, though. My mother used to sing it to me. She was a woman too, Jon Snow, like yours. She rubbed her throat where his dirk had cut her. The song ends when they find the babe, but there is a darker end to the story. 30 years later, when Bale was king beyond the wall and led the free folk south, it was young Lord Stark who met him at the frozen ford, and killed him, for Bale would not harm his own son when they met sword to sword. So the son slew the father instead, said Jon. Aye, said Ygrette, but the gods hate kinslayers even when they kill unknowing. When Lord Stark returned from the battle and his mother saw Bale's head upon his spear, she threw herself from a tower in her grief. Her son did not long outlive her. One of his lords peeled the skin off him and wore him for a cloak. Your Bale was a liar, he told her, certain now. No, Ygrette said, but a bard's truth is different than yours and mine. Anyway, you asked for a story, so I told it. She turned away from him, closed her eyes, and seemed asleep. Dawn and Cor and Halfhand arrived together.